Soulframe Founders is coming on November 25th, and what we learned about it during DevStream 11 was more of a teaser than a full reveal, but Steve and Sarah just answered some follow-up questions from the community, so let's take a fresh look at Soulframe Founders with updated info. Soulframe Founders will be available to purchase starting November 25th through the Soulframe website. It will not be giftable right away, but this is something DE is looking at. Soulframe Founders will be open for at least many months, and we will be notified well before the Founders period ends, so people don't miss out if they can't purchase one right away. Soulframe is not available on console just yet, but whenever it does come to console, it will have another Founders period for console gamers, so don't worry, you won't miss out on any of these options. Soulframe Founders will have 2 tiers. There are 3 different individual packages you can purchase in the first tier: Wild Tethran, Wild Siren, and Wild Oshelda. Each of these will come with the wild variant of that pact, and this has been described as Soulframe's equivalent to Prime Warframes. If you're not familiar with Warframe, that means they are essentially fancier versions of the 3 starting packs, Tethran, Siren, and Oshelda. They will function the same as the base packs, but each packed arm will have a unique appearance, and the packed abilities will have enhanced animations that are a wild variant of the base packed animations. Each of these wild tier Founders packs will also come with Soulframe Preludes access, plus access codes to give to your friends, a talisman, armor set, weapon, and sidearm, a cosmetic for your guide, a figment, which is basically a dye palette, arcs, which are Soulframe's premium currency, moonsteel thread, which is used for armor transmog, and a flower to plant in the Eternium Garden, a social hub where Founders' names will remain with their flowers as a permanent addition to the world of Soulframe. Steve said these wild tier Founders packs will cost around $30, presumably USD since that's been the norm for Warframe, but he did not specify the currency during the stream. If you can't decide between the 3 wild packs, you will be able to purchase more than one, or you can purchase the second tier of Soulframe Founders, which is called Wild Paragon. This tier will include all 3 of the wild packs, plus more access codes for friends, more arcs and moonsteel thread, a silver and birch flower for the Eternium Garden, a unique color palette called the Aurora Figment, a unique guide cosmetic called Sparagon, the Periap Talisman, and the Paragon Greatsword. If you purchase 1 or more wild packs and then decide later that you want to upgrade to Wild Paragon, you will be able to do so, and the items you already own will be prorated from the cost of the Paragon pack. The Paragon Greatsword is the only piece of equipment that will be exclusive to Soulframe Founders. However, it will have some kind of schematic, or perhaps fragment, that Founders can craft and gift to players who are not Founders. This will allow that player to build a Paragon Greatsword with the Founder's name on it somehow. It seems likely to me that this will be a line of text in the item's description rather than a visual mark, but I could be wrong here. Either way, it means players who weren't able to become a Founder or who only discover Soulframe after the Founders period ends won't miss out on any of Soulframe's equipment, so no FOMO. I love this idea of gifting the Greatsword and am honestly pretty disappointed that only the Greatsword will be passed along this way. I was really excited to give out official Sarah Loves Archery bows and plan to walk around with a stack of them in my inventory to give out to new players. I'll still do this with the Greatsword, but it won't be quite the same. I really hope DE reconsiders letting us do this with the other weapons, even if it's in addition to future ways of obtaining them through the game. The Wild Packed Arms will be exclusive to Founders for a while, but later on they will be obtainable to free players through some kind of time-intense process. This seems to follow Warframe's Prime Access model, so my guess is that the armor sets, weapons, and cosmetics from the Wild Packs will be available through something similar to Warframe's Prime Accessories bundles. For those unfamiliar with Warframe, these are packages that allow you to purchase items instead of grinding them out in-game, or that give you special cosmetics only available through these paid bundles. I think this has been implemented very fairly in Warframe, and have both purchased some Prime Access packages myself and farmed Primes through the game, so I'm pleased to see the same model coming to Soulframe. Perhaps Soulframe's future will include Wild Regrowth as a parallel to Warframe's Prime Resurgence. One thing that DE did not specifically state in either the dev stream or the follow-up video, but that I think we can assume based on Warframe, is that the equipment in the wild packs will come with inventory slots. This is the case anytime you use premium currency to buy a weapon or frame in Warframe, so I think it's reasonable to assume that Soulframe purchases will work the same way. This would mean that players who already have the 3 starting packs can become a Wild or Paragon Founder and have room for both the base packs and the wild packs. What we don't know is if the skin from a base pact will be equipable on a wild pact. As an example for context, in Warframe I can equip the base Saren skin on my Saren Prime if that better fits the look I'm going for, so there's no reason for me to hang on to more than one Saren. We don't have packed arm cosmetics in Soulframe yet, so I'm guessing this won't be an option right off the bat, but I hope it does get implemented eventually. I'll definitely be hanging on to my original packs until then, because I do like the aesthetics of the originals. And speaking of aesthetics, during the update video, Steve confirmed something I'd guessed based on what we saw in the dev stream. The wild packed arms were not finished in dev stream 11. What we get will not just be the arms we saw in this picture, but will also include the shoulder pad from their wild armor set. You can see in this clip of Wild Tethran that the shoulder piece on the packed arm is conspicuously missing. The symmetrical design of this set makes it more obvious, but both Wild Siren and Wild Oshelda also look like the shoulder pad is missing on the pack side. Putting all this together must be a ton of work, so I'm not surprised that things weren't quite polished yet, and I'm glad we got a sneak peek at the work in progress, but I'm excited to see the finished packed arms on the 25th. The follow-up video also gave us some new information about the weapons in the Founders packs that helps explain why the team has so much work to do. Each of the weapons in the Wild packs has a Virtue gem in it. You can see the red Courage gem here on the Wild Tethran longsword, and the blue Grace gem here in the Wild Siren bow. We didn't get to see Wild Oshelda's staff, but we can safely assume it will have a green gem. Steve said that soul seals of the corresponding color will charge their Virtue gem, so if your smite proc gives you a blue soul, stealing that soul will charge the Grace gem in a Wild Siren bow, or it will charge the Grace gem on the Paragon Greatsword. This will buff that Virtue, although we don't know by how much, and the buff will fall off if you die. Future Sarah here. I was rewatching the update video while working on this video, and I realized that while Steve was telling us about Virtue gems, he was talking about packed arms, not the other wild packed weapons. I'm gonna leave this bit in anyway because surely those are Virtue gems on the other weapons, right? There weren't any gems that I could see on the packed arms, but we know they aren't finished yet, so who knows what we'll actually get on the 25th. It sounds really cool either way, so I'm excited to be surprised. This is a really exciting mechanic, and I can't wait to play around with it in-game. DE, please fix utility ducks for bow. I'm gonna need those smites! We also got a bit of clarification about the flowers in the Eternium Garden. The gardens will be instanced like relays in Warframe, so as an instance fills, a new one will open. This means that if you want to plant your flower in the same instance as your friends, you'll need to coordinate entering the garden at the same time, and that should hopefully let you plant your flowers next to each other. It's not clear if we'll be able to select a specific instance to enter like we can with Warframe relays, or if it's all going to depend on timing, but I'm glad there's at least a possibility for some social gardening. The flowers, by the way, are exclusive to Founders, so the only way to leave your name in the Eternium Garden is to purchase a Soulframe Founders pack. We know that the flowers we saw in the dev stream were just placeholders, and I can't wait to see what our actual flowers will look like. I really hope there's some kind of color customization for the flowers, but with so much else going into these Founders packs, I would expect this to be a low priority compared to other items. We also got some excellent news for Soulframe's future. We will eventually have weapon transmog. This is probably still quite a ways off, but Steve said there will be some type of equivalent to bestitching for weapons so that we can use our wild skins even if the weapons themselves become obsolete years down the line. That is awesome news, and for more than just Founders. And finally, Steve confirmed that there will be no account resets from here on out. There may be some reworks of individual systems or items, but if you start playing now, you will not lose your progress when the game officially launches. I was already excited about Soulframe Founders, and now my hype is going crazy all over again. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this update, please help it out with a like. Which Founders pack are you going to get? Let me know in the comments, and until next time, happy hunting!